Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. A lot going on in the news. So Mayor Giuliani has filed for bankruptcy. You know, he has this $148 million verdict. The judges ordered him to pay it. And, you know, a few things about this we'll get to. But Mayor Giuliani is America's mayor because I've talked about it many times. He was the hero of 9/11. He was the only government official who was in hiding that was in the front lines during the attack. And one thing about him, he had to list his assets. And what he lists as his assets shows that he is a really good guy and not corrupt like, you know, Biden and the rest of them. He filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And he listed his assets between $1 million and $10 million. You know, I'm not saying that that's not rich because it's rich. We're not worth that much. You know, I do 2 shows a day. I think I'd be doing 2 shows a day. If I was worth many millions of dollars, I would just do 1 show a day. You know what I mean? 1 show a day. I still do the 1 show a day, but not 2 probably, right? But somebody like Giuliani, if he were corrupt, could be worth $100 million. You understand what I mean, guys?
Yep.
You know, he's made money since he left office in the private sector doing different things. But the purpose of this verdict, $148 million, it's an insane verdict. He was Trump's attorney. Trump's attorneys have been arrested, sued into bankruptcy. I've never heard of criminals attorneys. I'm not saying Trump's a criminal, but what I'm saying is every criminal in America has an attorney, and some of them are pretty high profile, right? Have you ever heard of attorneys for high profile clients or anything being arrested for representing that person, being sued into bankruptcy with $140 million? I've never heard of such a thing before.
No, we're on a whole new level here.
Well, you know, when we talk about living in a police state and Stalinism and all this stuff, the reason they do this is many. But one of the reasons they arrest Trump's attorneys, have a settlement against Giuliani of $148 million, it's so that Donald Trump can't get attorneys. I mean, you know, if you're an attorney and you represent Donald Trump, you're a very brave person because you could be arrested in the future. You could be sued into bankruptcy in the future. And that's scary. And it also frightens people, not just attorneys, but other people from working with Trump. Because if you work for Trump, the government may arrest you or some civil judge may put a $148 million judgment against you. And that's scary. That in this country we do this. There's always been scummy lawyers who represent scummy people. I'm not saying Trump's scummy or Trump's lawyers are scummy, but what I'm saying is there are real criminals out there that have attorneys. No one ever goes after the attorneys like this. And it started as much of a jerk as he's become. It started with Michael Cohen when they broke into Michael Cohen's office. They've Sidney Powell, Giuliani. You know, there's others. It's outrageous to me. And the fact that you don't have cable news filled with attorneys and the American Bar Association spokespeople flipping out about this.
They're afraid.
Yeah.
They don't want to get involved in this, which I can understand because these people are relentless. They want to destroy your life.
Yeah.
And, you know, you get to a point where you're like, well, is this worth it? So I think his attorneys now are very brave that are with him. But
they're risking a lot, and you know, Alina Habba, she could go to prison one day at the rate this is going. You guys understand that? I mean, this is really bad stuff that's going on here. And I'm watching. What I watch mostly are people on TV and enjoying it, and it's really frightening because you know people have to be able to have attorneys, and if attorneys are afraid that they'll go to jail if they represent someone that the government doesn't like.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it.
You know, pretty much every prosecution is done by the government. If it's not federal, it's a local. You know, it's the government, and this is not something to celebrate. Even if I was not on Trump's side, even if I wasn't on Giuliani's side, if this were like Democrat, like for example, Hunter Biden is guilty as the day is long of everything that he's been accused of. We know this. It's all on the laptop. He has an attorney. I wouldn't even dream of, when Trump comes into his second term, prosecuting Hunter's attorney or suing Hunter's attorney. It just would. I would be against that too. Now, Hunter's another deal, but his attorney, it's ridiculous. People are supposed to be able to hire advocates,
right?
It's not like Trump's attorneys committed crimes. If an attorney intimidates witnesses or makes up evidence that doesn't exist or plans but nothing like that has happened. They just don't like Trump. So
they're getting very desperate.
It is a desperate
and the
move.
Closer they get to the election, they're going to get more and more desperate.
That's exactly right.
And that's really what this is all about. They don't care about breaking any rules or doing things unethically, because to them, Trump is the most dangerous person on the planet. He's the devil, and they feel it is their moral obligation. A lot of them, they really believe this, to stop him no matter what.
And their patriotic duty.
Yes. I mean, and they fully believe that, and they feel that whatever means necessary to make that happen is justified.
Absolutely.
That's how they feel.
Now, Ron DeSantis, he gave another interview today. Ron DeSantis is on this
self-destructive
total career...
Yeah.
Political, self-destructive bender. You know what he is? He's the political version of Leaving Las Vegas going on right here.
Yeah.
And I played this clip on my live stream this morning on the radio of Ron DeSantis was on Newsmax yesterday, and they said, "Hey, if they keep Trump off the ballot in Colorado, you're going to do what Ramaswamy says." And he says, "No." Mm-hmm. He says, "I'm trying to get delegates." It'll be, and then today, he did another interview. This one's with the Christian broadcasters, same guy that interviewed Nikki Haley, where I played that clip from the last podcast. Listen to this. I mean, DeSantis, he's very self-destructive. Good, because I don't like him anymore. I used to be big DeSantis. We all were. Trump was a DeSantis fan, but not anymore. Listen to this.
Is there anything you, if not regret, you look at this campaign and go, I wish I would have done that? How do you feel about that?
Well, there's always different things that happen. I mean, I would say if I could have one thing change, I wish Trump hadn't been indicted on any of this stuff. I mean, honestly, I think that, from Alvin Bragg on, I've criticized the cases. I think, someone like a Bragg would not have brought that case if it was anyone other than Donald Trump. And so, someone like that's distorting justice, which is bad. But I also think it distorted the primary. And I think it's been that those have kind of been the main issues that have happened.
Because it's helped him? Is that what you're saying? And so therefore
it's both that, but then it also is just crowded out, I think, so much other stuff, and it's sucked out a lot of oxygen. And so, some of these guys like Bragg, they abuse their power. I mean, incidentally, he's a Soros-backed prosecutor. I'm the only one in the country. I've removed two, one from Tampa and one from Orlando, and it does show you that they view law as an extension of politics, and that gets very, very dangerous when this country goes down that road.
But that's interesting. You're saying it made him stronger in a way, and it made it tougher for you and others.
I think for the primary, it distorted. Yeah, I think it distorted. In a general election, I think the Democrats have a plan on this. I think the media has a plan on this. And I think if it gets to the point where 6 months from now, Trump's the presumptive nominee and he's having to go through all this, they have a plan for how they're going to ride this out.
Okay. So DeSantis, he said he's upset about all these cases against Trump, not because Trump did no wrong and these are illegal cases, but it made it more difficult for him. He's saying that he's doing poorly in the primaries, DeSantis, because of these cases against Trump, and he's not upset that they misused their powers and gone after an innocent man. He's upset that it hurt him.
Yeah, well,
that they got these charges against Trump. What a sicko.
I don't think that's his problem. I think he's his own problem, but he clearly can't see that.
Yeah.
Clearly people don't like him, and he's not connecting with voters. He's been in Iowa forever.
Yes,
and
all year.
And his polling has just gone down and down, and he's just clearly not a likable guy and somebody that people want to elect, but he's not going to admit that.
Yeah. No, I mean, his attitude the last few days, it shows another side of Ron DeSantis that we just did not know existed. And it's not pleasant. He is. I know that probably most people that are in politics are narcissists. It's all about them. He's certainly a narcissist, but he's also not in touch with reality. Yeah. And I was talking this morning, and I don't know if I'm alone with this in Florida, but I'm scared of him because sometime soon, in the next couple of months, his campaign's got to end. He's going to come back here. He's still our governor for over 3 more years. He just was sworn in January.
Yeah.
So next month will be his first year of his second term. So we've got 3 more years of him. He is a narcissist. He's going to be very angry.
It'll be interesting.
He's going to hate MAGA people, and Florida is all MAGA people. So he's going to be really ticked off at us when he comes back to Florida and resumes his duties as governor. And I don't know what he's going to do. He is so. It's amazing to me the narcissism in that comment. It shows you he takes no responsibility in the situation. He does not even. Now, this is what's crazy for me. He ran 2 campaigns pretending to be MAGA, pretending to love Trump. Remember, in his first campaign, he had a campaign commercial with his baby in MAGA baby clothes. He was reading Art of the Deal to his kid. So he had 2 total campaigns of fake MAGA, pretending to like Trump. And now we find out not only is he fake MAGA, he hates Trump, and he hates all of us who support Donald Trump. And he does not even feel that that's going to be a negative for him when he returns to Florida as governor. He is very out of touch with reality. He really is. And when someone's this out of touch with reality, should they really be in charge of anything?
No, he's not going to be. So he has no chance in hell.
It's going to be our governor for 3 more years, Kathy.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see how he goes back into that mode, or if he does.
Well, this is his problem.
I have no idea
this is what he's going to try
react.
to do. This is what happens a lot of times. These people run for president in the primaries, and they're running for a long time. They have to drop out. And what they miss are being on stage in front of people and talking. Yeah. So what DeSantis is going to do is he's going to schedule some events in Florida and have press conferences all the time, because before he was running, he had a press conference somewhere in Florida out among the people every day. He had one down the street from our house.
I think he's convinced himself.
Well, what's going to happen when he does that, this is so MAGA, he's going to be booed and cussed at. And I don't think he realizes that.
Well, he hasn't been here, so he hasn't been really in front of a Florida audience for a long time.
Only in a couple of very small controlled situations.
I don't think he'll get a good reception.
It's going to be. Let me tell you, he is going to get. He is the most hated man in Florida. Ron DeSantis, he really is.
He's either, like I said, going to grovel to Trump and MAGA and try to get back under that wing, or he'll run again for president because he'll convince himself that the only reason he's not doing well is because Trump's running.
That's right.
And once Trump's out of the way, I'll do great. So,
in 4 years?
Yeah. So
he's out of his mind.
One of those two will happen. Probably the latter. He'll probably convince himself and other people, now that Trump's not running, I have a much better shot.
Yeah.
And let's try it again. And I think that's probably what'll occur.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out. We'll find out. Now, I want to tell everyone about the My Pillow 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets. Let me tell you, Kathy and I, we have, I think, 6 sets of these, 4 regular and 2 flannel. We have 6 or 8. I've lost. I think it's 6, right? 2 flannel, 4 regular. Yeah. And the regular and the flannel, they're 100% Giza cotton, which is the finest cotton in the world. They regulate your body temperature perfectly. It's been cold by Florida standards lately. Yeah. The My Pillow 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets, they keep you cool all summer and warm and cuddly in the winter. It's absolutely amazing, and they're so comfortable. They're absolutely the most comfortable sheets you've ever had. We've had them since they've first been available, and they look like new, even though we wash them in hot water and dry them they look like the day we got them. And my favorite feature about them that I talk about a lot is the fitted sheet on the bottom fits perfectly on the mattress. Other sheets, and I've had every sheet you can imagine my entire life. I've had since I was a kid. Before the My Pillow 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets, I never had sheets where the fitted sheet fit on all 4 corners easily. When you put that fitted sheet on, you get the first corner on perfect. The second corner, you got to,
and it stays on. Well,
yeah.
It stays on. It doesn't slip up or come off, which drives me nuts. It stays on the bed very snuggly.
Yeah, and with regular sheets, With the old sheets, you get that third corner on a little bit, and that fourth corner, God help you if you can get it on that corner. I mean, you almost rip the sheet getting it over that fourth corner just enough to hold it in place. The MyPillow 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets, all four corners fit perfectly. Boom, 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 boom. With or without, of course, the mattress topper, which we have. There's a great deal right now on them. You should get them. They come in many different colors, regular and flannel. And they are in all mattress sizes. And with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, you can get them for $29.98. Pretty good deal. $29.98 with our promo code Kane, Kane at checkout. And remember, when you do that, you're supporting all of our content, the radio show, my YouTube channel, the podcast, and my newest venture, Rumble. Right? I'm on Rumble now too, guys. Brian Craig, all one word on Rumble. All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
Enter a world where the unbelievable becomes reality. Award-winning film producer, director, and best-selling author Ray Griggs invites you to Tales Stranger Than Fiction, a premium audio podcast series like no other. When you add Tales Stranger Than Fiction to your playlist, you'll experience stories crafted in stunning 5.1 surround sound, immersing you in every suspenseful moment. Guided by Ray Griggs and set to the soul-stirring compositions of Max DiCarlo, this series brings narratives to life with an exceptional cast of voice talents. Inspired by iconic series like Suspense, Outer Limits, and Twilight Zone, Tales Stranger Than Fiction isn't just a podcast, it's an expedition to the edges of imagination and a ticket to alternate dimensions. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and wherever you get your podcast. Tales Stranger Than Fiction, where every episode is a journey beyond belief. This Christmas, give the gift of creativity, imagination, and endless fun with B-Blocks Building Blocks, available on Amazon. B-Blocks Building Blocks isn't just a fun gift, but it's educational too. It's a STEM toy of 500 pieces. That's right, 500 pieces to ignite your little one's creativity. Children will be introduced to a world of colors, shapes, and designs. They'll learn to play and create with 8 vibrant colors. From enhancing fine motor skills to exploring basic geometry and architecture, B-Blocks Building Blocks is fun and a powerful learning tool. And they click securely together, too. They're safe and cool, perfect for boys and girls. And this is a gift they'll cherish for years to come. B-Blocks Building Blocks are available in the B-Blocks store on Amazon. Just search B-Blocks, B-E-B-L-O-X. B-Blocks Building Blocks, because every child deserves the best. Only in the B-Blocks store on Amazon. Order your child's set right now. From author Stephanie Tayo comes a book that takes place in Cornwall, Ontario, where it seems that dreams can come true and life feels uncomplicated. But one young woman's world is about to be forever transformed. Love Beyond Age, available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other online booksellers. In Love Beyond Age, meet Quinn. She's a determined soul with aspirations of becoming a psychologist. She shares a simple life with her dad, saving every penny for her dreams. But life has a way of throwing unexpected curveballs. Everything changes when she crosses paths with James, whose presence by the river ignites a connection neither can deny. As their university journeys begin, Quinn finds herself torn between her deepening connection with the mysterious James and her growing feelings for her competitive friend Jasper. Secrets are unveiled, revelations come to light, and Quinn discovers a shocking truth about James' hidden secret. As danger lurks on the horizon, relationships are put to the test, and old emotions resurface. A love triangle takes hold, pushing Quinn to the brink. She faces a choice that will shape her future and define her path. Love Beyond Age, from author Stephanie Tayo, is a story of love, secrets, and choices that will tug at your heartstrings. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Apple Books, and other online booksellers. Order your copy right now and be transported to a world where romance is intertwined with the complexities of life. Love Beyond Age, from author Stephanie Tayo. Order your copy right now.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. I saw a trailer today. There's a new Road Warrior movie coming out.
Oh my goodness.
And it's not about Mel Gibson's character. It's set years later. It's and I love the Road Warrior. The Road Warrior. There was Mad Max, which I'm not.
I've
the first
never
one.
seen any of those films.
Oh, they're very good. The first one I'm not a big fan of. The first one is Mad Max. The second one is the Road Warrior.
With Tina Turner?
No, she's in the third one.
Oh.
The second one is the Road Warrior, which in Australia they called it Mad Max 2, but here we call it the Road Warrior. That's the first one I saw. The first one I don't like, but the Road Warrior is awesome. And then the third one is Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. That's the one with Tina Turner.
Right.
And then they did a remake, I don't know, 10 years ago or something, which was okay. But anyway, they've got a new Road Warrior coming out. And, of course, the star is a girl, a woman, a female. I'm not saying women can't be in movies, but they just had this flop that came out with this Captain America. They had 3 superheroes, all women. It just flopped.
Yeah.
You can't have women running as superheroes and everything, as the action stars and everything. It's just not credible.
Right.
I mean, come on. You see these stories of the athletes, right? They get the transgenders and the biological men. When they're among men, they suck. They don't even rank. They play with the top women in the world. They win.
Right.
So men and women are not equal in everything, and obviously not physically. I mean, there's these stories of the Williams sisters losing to men, and they're like the best ever in the women's tennis. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I just don't know what they're doing in Hollywood.
You have a lot of women now in charge in Hollywood.
Angry women.
And this is how they want people to perceive things.
Yes. Women are the action stars now.
Yeah.
And it's just not correct. Every once in a while, there have been movies.
Well, they've probably dealt with a lot of jerks in Hollywood that are men. I mean, that happens. I mean,
get over it.
And that are on power trips, and now they're in control. I saw the Barbie movie. Brian fell asleep like halfway through, or a third of the way through.
It's on HBO.
It was good in the beginning, and I love Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie. The sets were good. It was good in the beginning, but the last half got so preachy. I had to turn it off. It was just too feel good and just too much preachiness about men and women and you're valuable and I value you. And I'm like, oh my God, like
I value you.
Yeah. Like it was just like they were saying that to each other and it just got really, really preachy the last half. So I turned it off and it just kind of ruined it for me. I know people loved it and it was a big hit and the sets were good. The music was good and everything, but
yeah, I
just don't like that preachy that's over the top in films. It's boring to me, and I'm like, okay, just click.
What they're.
I'm glad I didn't pay to see it.
I'm not so much into movies anymore. Okay, I used to when I was a kid. I'm not really into movies.
Yeah,
there's not even a movie theater in our neighborhood anymore. Our local movie theater.
Old movies, though.
Yeah, our old movie theater in our neighborhood closed down, and the nearest movie theater, I don't know, is like 5 miles away or something, which is kind of far. We used to have like 2. Right? I'm just what Hollywood is doing is putting themselves out of business with a good thing. Okay, now this head of Harvard that would not condemn advocating for genocide of Jews, and there was a plagiarism issue that came up a week ago. Yeah. Now they got a whole bunch of new plagiarism issues with her, multiple, like 6 or 8 new examples of plagiarism. And she still has her job.
Wow.
And she has her job because she's Black female.
Yep.
And the reason that this woman, I believe, I'm not going to go through the story about all the details. It doesn't matter. In academia, there is no crime worse than plagiarism. It's worse than like sexual misconduct with students in a certain extent. Okay, it's about the equivalent of that. It's a big deal. And the reason that this woman has committed so many acts of plagiarism that we know of is because she could get away with it, because no one's ever held her accountable because
something will happen
of the affirmative action.
There'll be too much pressure. They'll end up firing her. It'll eventually happen.
Well, this is what's frightening. I've been telling people about this. The college I went to is here in Florida Atlantic University. It's a very good school, but it's not very well known. It's not a prestigious university where I went. But it's a good school. It's a state university here in Florida Atlantic University. You can look it up. But Harvard is different. because Harvard are where the future leaders of our entire civilization go to school. Harvard, Yale, those kind of schools. The Ivy Leagues, the future presidents. I mean, how many presidents went to Harvard or Yale? Congressmen, Supreme Court justices, leaders of other countries. And when you see an institution like Harvard, okay, that is going to produce future presidents and senators and Supreme Court justices, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and you see how they've turned it, not just liberal, this isn't liberal, they're pro-terrorist, pro-plagiarism, and pro-advocating for the extermination of Jews, which is what the Nazis were doing. And if that is the environment of Harvard, what are our future leaders in this country going to be like? Because the leaders of this country in the future will be Harvard grads. And that's what's scary to me. And, Lori Loughlin and William H. Macy's wife, remember, went to prison for academic dishonesty. That's how big of a deal it is. And they really didn't even do it. They bribed somebody to do it, right? You understand what I mean? She actually copied and pasted and committed all this plagiarism. And with the what they did the other day at Harvard was crazy. So she wouldn't condemn the genocide of Jews. So she went to a menorah lighting ceremony.
Oh God!
And the photographer that filmed it, it was like an Annie Leibovitz quality picture. It was the biggest menorah I have ever seen in my life. It had a flame that, I mean, it was a huge flame. I mean, it was just this massive flame. It was bigger than the Olympic torch. It was not the Olympic torch they hold. It was like the size of the Olympic torch that they alight in the state. It was massive. And they have this photograph of her professionally done with the flame light on her. Like, she's not anti-Semitic. Here she's lighting a menorah.
I just think people are stupid.
Well, it should be very troublesome to people that all of this is being allowed at Harvard. Harvard, like all these other institutions, have always been liberal. What's going on here is not liberal. This is pro-terrorist, pro-Nazi. I mean, it's insane. Okay, so we got a new poll out, and this here is a very, very shady poll. The latest poll out of New Hampshire has Trump at 44, Haley at 30, Chris Christie at 12, DeSantis at 6, Ramaswamy at 5. And the way they're presenting this is that Nikki Haley's support in New Hampshire has doubled, which it has.
She's catching up to Trump.
And Trump is stayed the same. He's at 44. He is 14 points ahead. It's not that support against Trump has increased in New Hampshire. It's that the Trump haters that are being polled are gravitating to one person and not so. There's fewer candidates than there were. Okay. And
well, that's what happens. That's what's going to happen. So is that going to hurt Trump?
No, because
I talked about that before. If you have all these Trump haters getting together and not spreading themselves so thin and going to one person.
Not at all.
That elevates that person.
No, there's two groups of people that are voting, right? There's the MAGA people, and then there's the Never Trumpers. And the Never Trumper pool isn't growing. It's just going around one person. So Trump is still double digits ahead. Yeah. Like in this poll, DeSantis is down 5, Ramaswamy's down 6 from where they were in the last poll. So 6 of her 15 points she went up came from that. You understand what I mean? And then a couple guys dropped out. And what does it say about people in New Hampshire? Chris Christie's at 12, and nobody likes Chris Christie.
No.
Okay? And this is being see, this is how the media spin work. They're like, oh, she's doubled her position in New Hampshire. She's still 14 points behind Trump. Yeah. She's not gaining on Trump. But then they all
jump on that bandwagon and elevate her and try to make something out of it.
Well, Nikki Haley, if you
they get excited about it.
If you think about it, Nikki Haley's been in public life for years. She was twice elected governor, right? And she was governor for 6 years. What is one accomplishment of hers? What is one thing she has done in public office that you can point to her and say, you know what?
I don't know.
She did such a great job. She did this thing. No, nothing, right? Nothing. Because she's like all these other politicians. They yakety yak, they talk, and they really don't do much of anything, okay? And she has no accomplishment. She She's living back in the 80s and thinks that it's a big deal that she's a woman and is running for president. Nobody cares anymore. It's not a big deal. Lots of women have run for president and lost. Okay, she'll just be another woman who's run for president and will lose.
Yep.
Okay, and she's going to be a forgotten person in history. She is as in love with herself as Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton and Nikki Haley think that they are role models for little girls. Remember, we played this on the podcast a few weeks ago. Nikki Haley was given a speech somewhere. It was either Iowa or New Hampshire. I can't remember which. There was a little girl who had a Nikki Haley hat on. Nikki Haley says, "I love your hat." And she says, "Oh, someone just gave it to me a minute ago from the campaign. They put, and she looked like an idiot on the campaign trail." No one looks at Nikki Haley and says she's my role model or I look up to her. If this were like 1983 and she were running for president, okay, and she's not white, people would say, "Oh, wow, that's a big deal. She's a woman. She's not white. It's 1983. Wow, she's running for president," right? But it's not 1983. All these things, are no big deal.
Right.
This is the thing. Like, I remember when Obama got elected, for all my life, people talked to, when the first black president was such a big, when it happened, it didn't seem like a big deal because these things are natural progressions. By the time it happens, it's like no big deal. It's just a natural progression of society. She is not breaking any glass ceilings at all. And she's weird.
Yeah, she's weird. I don't like her.
Isn't she weird?
Yeah, she's weird.
And
I don't like her at all.
And she looks weird. If you see her on her profile, oh my goodness. I mean, she's not a good looking woman, but if you see her profile, it's like I can hardly watch her. Like,
so you don't think she has any chance at all of beating Trump in these primaries at all?
Please. You're kidding me, right?
No, I don't think so either. But
if Trump dropped out, she wouldn't beat him. Okay, the people would still go out and vote. No. And in New Hampshire, though, she has the governor of New Hampshire behind her, so that helps a little bit. Go up in the polls too.
Yeah,
but she's still 14 points behind. No, she does not have.
When is that primary
chance
in New Hampshire?
They're coming. I don't know the exact date, but the Iowa caucus is next month. Right. That's the first one. Then it's New Hampshire.
She's going to be honed in on that right now. They figure she'll win New Hampshire and she'll win South Carolina.
Yeah, that. I don't know.
They figure that'll give her momentum.
They don't think she's going to win. They think she'll come in second place. This is they're thinking her people are thinking. Yeah. Okay, she'll come in second place, closer to Trump than she's polling, and then they'll say, "Oh, look, she's gained because she was only polling She was only polling 15, and she came within 12 points. He only beat her by 12 points. So they'll say she's got momentum.
Right.
But when the voting happens, usually the voting's closer than the polling. Okay. So no, I don't buy any of this. She's a warmonger, military-industrial complex operative, and an empty pantsuit. She is a vacuous person. And when I've seen her on TV talking, I cannot tell you one position of hers other than she supports the war in Ukraine and she wanted to carpet bomb Iran after Israel was attacked and start the Third World War. I don't know any of her policy positions. I don't know what she stands for. I don't know why she ran for governor in the first place. I don't know anything she did as governor. As much as I don't like DeSantis, there are things that he can point to that he did when he was there. They're a few years old now, but there's things he did when he was governor that were good. Things in Florida are bad now, but they were good 2-3 years ago when he was, and he did some things. But Nikki Haley, just like Hillary Clinton, has no accomplishments. But, Nikki Haley is like this Harvard president. A lot of self-important feminist women think they're important just because they're a woman doing something. I mean, it's not the 50s. No. I don't understand why women like Nikki Haley thinks it's enough to vote for somebody.
Well, they want
because they're a
tap
woman.
Into that female vote. They want to. That's her way of trying to connect with the female voters.
I don't think women.
She's not going to appeal to men as much
connect to that.
as she thinks as women.
She's not going to.
No, I'm saying that's maybe her thinking.
You think women connect with her?
No, but that might be her thinking. Like, I'm not going to connect. Men might not react to me as much, but if I can get the women. To vote for me instead of Trump, then that would help me.
There's only one thing she has going for. Well, she's got two things going for her. One, she's got the governor of New Hampshire behind her,
right?
And the importance of that is he's got a lot of pull with the political machine in New Hampshire because he's the governor, right? So he's got a lot of power. And the other thing that Nikki Haley has going for her in New Hampshire is that it's a crossover state, meaning Democrats can vote in the Republican primary. So I imagine that there's a lot of – but if they vote in the Republican primary, they can vote in the Democrat primary, but there's not going to be a Democrat primary. And one of the reasons there's not a Democrat primary, a lot people just automatically say, oh, you know, they're not doing a primary because they don't want Biden to be challenged. That's part of it. But another reason is so that in these crossover states, they can get Democrats to vote for Republicans other than Trump. Okay? So I promise you there's a big move right now to get Democrats in New Hampshire to vote in the primary for Nikki Haley to get her close to him in the second. See, Trump is only going for Republican voters, right?
Right.
And Nikki Haley's people, I promise you, are doing a ground game in New Hampshire with Democrats to say, look, I know she's a Republican, but she's not Trump.
To defeat Trump.
Exactly.
Right.
So when it's over, she's going to be in second place. She'll probably be closer than she's polling because remember, Democrats can vote in that primary and Democrats. So what I'd like them to do when that happens, but the press aren't going to do this. I hope some people do this. Do a breakdown and try to find out how many Democrats voted for her versus Republican, and then go through the history of the Republican crossover primary in New Hampshire. And I bet you she'll have more Democrats voting for her than any Republican ever has in the New Hampshire primary before. Yeah. And and what does that say about her? That's another disqualifier. I mean, you know, if she's got to appeal to Democrats as a Republican to win a primary, she'll owe people favors, bad favors. What does that say about her as a person? Now, I want to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. Thank you so much, guys. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, remember there's a link in the episode description as well as a direct link on my website, briancraigshow.com. And when you become a Patreon supporter, there are many benefits, including commercial-free editions of all the podcast episodes. And you're also supporting the podcast and all of my content. Our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air shout-out on each and every program, and top Patreon supporters have their names listed in all the podcast episodes and all my YouTube and Rumble videos too, okay? So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, ActicFox, Heather, David, Richard, and Maria in Texas. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you all. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's much more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
Imagine a world where your deepest desires become reality, where heaven on earth isn't just a concept, but a living truth. Perfected States, Creating Heaven on Earth by author Latoya Baglanian, available on Amazon, will take you on an extraordinary journey. This must-read and life-changing book is a unique blend of biblical wisdom, the law of attraction, and groundbreaking science. Perfected States shares a blueprint for life that transcends your wildest dreams. Scripture intertwines with the law of attraction, offering a profound spiritual depth that will elevate your understanding and inspire your soul. Each chapter is a step towards aligning with God's plan, emphasizing the power of faith and the potential within you to create a perfected state of being. Author Latoya Baglanian guides you with practical insights and motivational wisdom, helping you to live the life you were intended to enjoy. Perfected States, Creating Heaven on Earth is available right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. This is your chance to transform your life and shape a future where the extraordinary becomes the norm. Perfected States, Creating Heaven on Earth from author Latoya Baglanian on Amazon. Add a splash of color to your life with the Etsy shop Popular Coloring Art. Popular Coloring Art on Etsy have a huge selection of coloring pages and wall art, and everything is available for digital download. Whether you're a kid or adult, their high-quality artwork is designed to bring out the artist in you. Popular Coloring Art on Etsy have beautiful wall art for the holidays featuring Santa and Mrs. Claus. But that's not all. They also have coloring pages for Christmas, pet lovers, vintage cars, fairies, cat lovers, dog lovers, bird birds, nature enthusiasts, travel buffs, and so much more. Discover unique coloring pages that will ignite your artistic creativity, no matter how young or old. Popular Coloring Art on Etsy, online at popularcoloringart.etsy.com. That's popularcoloringart.etsy.com. High quality and unique coloring pages for kids and adults. Go to the shop right now. Explore the collection. You will be impressed. popularcoloringart.etsy.com. Author Denise Lichtig is a woman of strength facing the unexpected challenge of breast cancer, and she shares her powerful story and Symmetry in the Blue Buddha, available on Amazon. Author Denise Lichtig is a Chinese medicine practitioner. While training for the Tough Mudder, she discovered newfound physicality when her life took a turn. Symmetry in the Blue Buddha shares her journey through cancer, but it's also a voyage into the realms of energy medicine, spirituality, and self-discovery. This life-changing book is a guide for women navigating their own health challenges. The author's narrative offers insight into regaining personal power, facing fears, and making informed decisions about your health care. Join Denise Lichtig's journey of transformation and find strength in her words. Whether you or someone you love is on this path, her experience will inspire and empower you. This book is also perfect for book clubs. Symmetry in the Blue Buddha, available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. Order your copy right now and embrace the journey to reclaim your power. Symmetry in the Blue Buddha from author Denise Lichtig on Amazon. This Christmas, experience the magic of the season with the book Searching for Christmas from author Andre Herdukis, available on Amazon. In Searching for Christmas, meet Ben, a young boy from an isolated orphanage who's never had the chance to experience the beauty of Christmas. But this year, everything changes. Ben embarks on a thrilling adventure to discover the holiday he's only dreamt of. To make his dream come true, he must conquer his fears and learn to play the accordion, hoping to charm the hearts of the townspeople. But his journey has its challenges. He must face the taunts of children in the orphanage and navigate the dangers of the forest on his way to the city. Along the way, Ben finds an unexpected friend in Dave, and together they learn the true meaning of friendship in the search for Christmas. Searching for Christmas is a touching story that will warm your heart and remind you of the joy and wonder that this magical season brings. Searching for Christmas is available in Kindle, paperback, and audiobook on Amazon. This will become a treasured part of the holiday season with your family. Order your copy of Searching for Christmas from author Andre Herdukis, available on Amazon in ebook, paperback, and audiobook.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. I was joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. I was scrolling through the comments people leave on my YouTube video. You know, you guys can leave comments on my YouTube videos or on the podcast. I do read them. I go through them. I may not respond to all of them, but I do read them. And sometimes I'll respond. Sometimes I'll give a heart or a thumbs up. But even if there's nothing from me, doesn't mean I haven't read it, because I do read them. And I do that for a lot of reasons. And it kind of, you know, but here's a good one. This is on DeSantis not dropping out of Colorado if Trump's not on the ballot. This guy, Aaron, he wrote, "So you guys are saying that if candidates don't remove themselves from ballots that Trump doesn't appear on, then they're scum?" Yes, that's correct. If you are a Republican running in the primary and one of the Republican candidates is taken off the ballot because they don't like him and it's unjust and it's not right, yes, if you don't stand up to that and make a stand, you're scum. Yes, absolutely. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Thank you. Okay.
They're all scum because they're all working against Trump.
Yeah, exactly. All uniparty Republicans are scum.
Yeah, they know they're not going to win, and they're just all trying to, you know, help themselves, enrich themselves, and try to hurt him as much as possible.
Yeah. So at the University of Minnesota, a professor who says she's Native American Indian. I mean, I'm Native American. So are you, Kathy. You were born in Florida.
Yep.
I was born in Rhode Island. So you know, we're Native Americans. Native meaning we were born here.
Exactly.
So that makes us Native Americans. But I'd like to give a DNA test to this professor. She's sitting with a group of 3 others. They're wearing like Indian garb, like Native American Indian garb, but that doesn't mean they're Indians,
Right.
This means they're dressed like Indians. I'd like to do a DNA test, but they have behind them 2 flags. One says land. I can't make out the second word. And then next to it is the Palestinian flag. So these Native American activists are joining with Hamas, and they're talking about their plans for the United States.
Oh, boy.
This is a professor who dresses in Indian clothes. Doesn't mean she's an Indian. Says she might be an Indian. I don't know. But let's play it and we'll talk about it.
And you're hearing people on social media saying like, oh, land back, like genocide. Does this mean genocide? No. But land back is going to happen. That's going to happen, the Indigenous perspective in Turtle Island and how we understand what is also happening in Palestine. And what we really want you to take away tonight is, as Anthony said, we're in the belly of the beast, right? We're all Indigenous people who come from nations that are under occupation by the United States government. And of course, the U.S. bankrolls the Israeli occupation of Palestinian land. They're one and the same, really. And so it's our responsibility as people who are within the United States to go as hard as possible to decolonize this place, because that will reverberate all across the world, because the U.S. is the greatest predator empire that has ever existed, right? And so we want U.S. out of everywhere. We want U.S. out of Palestine. We want U.S. out of Turtle Island, right? And that the goal is to dismantle the settler project that is the United States.
The United States is the settler project.
How does she plan on decolonizing? We have to leave. I mean, how does she plan on doing this?
Yeah, and
that's a crazy person.
And when the United States is gone, who's going to pay her salary as a college? College professors, only a full-time college professor that has a heavy course load of classes they teach 3 classes a week.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, they're like retired people.
Cushy job.
It's a very cushy job, and they make a lot of money. The thing about, first off, Indigenous. American Indians are not indigenous to North America. We all know this. They're not indigenous. They settled this land that is the United States at some point long ago. They're not forever indigenous. There's very few indigenous people. The Israelis are indigenous to Israel because the Bible tells us that. But there are very few, and truly, outside of that, I don't know of any truly indigenous people that we can say these people belong here other than the Jews in Israel. But so far as the Indians, my understanding was that the Indians were they were nomadic. Most every Indian tribe was nomadic and just traveled all over the place. And they were very busy warring amongst themselves. But the United States is a very rich country before it was even settled, right? The Indians didn't exploit it. They really didn't farm too much, very little farming. And when I studied a lot about this in school, when the Europeans came here, the land in America is so fertile. The topsoil, which is where all the nutrients are to grow crops, is measured in feet in the United States. In Europe, it's measured in inches, And it was somebody was going to settle America, and they look at him with these liberal lunatics like this idiot who makes a career griping about this stuff to young minds. What they don't understand is this: they look around at the greatness that is the United States and everything we have, everything we have in this country and everything that America's accomplished. And they think that if the United States government wasn't here, we would have done it because we'd be in America. South America is as rich as North America. And look at it, right? You get outside, you go 1 foot past our southern border. Well, now our southern border has been overrun, but you know what I mean. You go 1 foot into Mexico, all the way down to the tip of South America, which is almost to Antarctica, and it's third world pits of hell that no one wants to live in. No. Okay? And they have
very corrupt leadership, and
it's the culture. Yeah. But South America has every resource that North America has. So and they have better weather throughout a lot of it too, because you go up in Canada, most of Canada you can't even live in. It's frozen tundra. But North America isn't rich and has not accomplished things just because the land is rich. It's because our culture and our system is great and allows for innovation and all these things. If if, for example, where currently is the 48 United States, right, here in North America. I know there's 50 states. I'm just talking about the lower 48. If the lower 48 of the United States was settled by Portuguese and Spaniards and turned into countries by them, as opposed to Germans and Irish and Englishmen, and for the most part, some like South America, this would be a third world country. Okay, it's the culture that the Spaniards and the Portuguese brought to South America that have turned it into what it is today. You see this, look at Cuba. This country, I'll throw Canada in with us. The United States and Canada are so great because the culture of the Germans, the Irish, the British that settled, and the French that settled the 48 lower United States and Canada are a culture of innovators, not like Latin America that was settled by a corrupt culture. And so far as the Indians, if no one ever came to America, the Indians, they probably wouldn't even have the steam engine yet. If the Indians were left alone to have the Americas, they would still be almost prehistoric. They were like living like cavemen practically, right? I mean, come on. You know, I mean, I know when you watch the movies, they seem civil. I know they knew how to hunt and do stuff. I get that, you know, and make clothes out of bear skins or something. But they didn't have
buildings.
They didn't have horses.
I mean,
in
they
North
didn't have
America.
bricks or buildings, or
there weren't even horses here.
Yeah, there weren't even horses. That's
so
exactly
you know.
right.
So they would, if the Indians had never been disturbed, they would not even be at an 18th century level of development. They, you know, like the Industrial Revolution. There never would have been an Industrial Revolution.
It was inevitable that people would come here.
That's what America was for.
Whether they came from Europe or wherever, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
And there were multiple countries trying to stake their claim here back in the 17th century when people started coming here.
And this woman should not be a college professor talking that way.
You know, I just get so sick of these people that live in the past and want to punish us for things that we had nothing to do with. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. It's the things she's saying are never going to happen. She's either just trying to elevate herself or sell a book or something. Because she's just tapping
stupid.
It's just stupid. It's just a stupid.
Well, it's another
thing for her to even say.
It's what we always talk about with these college professors. Okay, they never grow up. They go to college, they graduate college and become college professors. They never leave school, so it's arrested development. They think like children. They have these degrees and everything. These professors, but they have juvenile minds because they've never left school. Right. Now. Charlie Kirk had his Turning Point conference over the weekend, and it was his biggest one yet in attendance. And there's a guy named Rob Smith who attended, and Rob Smith is a black gay Republican, and he's also an Iraq War veteran. And he was had a run-in with the Democrats. So of course, there's liberal Democrats protesting because it's Charlie Kirk's event, and they were calling him racial slurs, the N-word, and using the F-word for the slur for gay and everything else. And something shocking happened with this guy. CNN had him on in studio to talk about it, which is insane. So I want to play this clip. It's him, and he's being interviewed on CNN, and they have in the graphic on CNN, black gay Republican says he was heckled with racial slurs. Now, it doesn't say by leftists or liberals or Democrats, right. And it doesn't say he's MAGA, but this is strange that this was on CNN.
Anybody that thinks that this is somehow in some way fake or staged, I want to tell them that the hate crime that happened to Jussie Smollett was fake. This hate crime was very real. So how I ended up there was, this is a group called the Republicans for National Renewal. I was in Phoenix, Arizona for an event called America Fest, which is held by Turning Point USA. I went to this event because I saw that a lot of other conservative influencers would be there. I actually DM'd with this group. I said, hey, I'm going to come. Can you put me on the list? They said, sure. So that's how I ended up at the event. I had no idea that it was going to be infested with these people.
Was there some kind of confrontation that preceded what we saw in the video?
Yeah, there was. Actually, I realized that these people were starting to encircle me, and I kind of wanted to figure out what was going on.
Scary.
And what I will say, what a lot of people didn't see in that video is, number one, they did say the N-word. Absolutely, that was not caught on video, but that did happen. And so, look, I am fourth ID. I'm an Iraq War vet. I can know how to defend myself, but I am looking in the eyes of people that were actual neo-Nazis and actual white supremacists.
Right.
There were about 20 to 25 of these people, and that is what you do not see on camera. So I had a choice to de-escalate the situation with humor, which is what I did.
Okay, and by the way, these white supremacists, they're not MAGA, they're Democrats,
That's
liberal
right.
Democrats. They were,
Yeah.
and
Always were, always will be.
the Democrats were encircling him in a lynch mob because he's black, gay, Republican.
Right.
And plus he's a veteran, which I don't know if they knew he was a veteran, and they just can't have that because he's a threat to their future. And all this talk about racism and homophobia, it's always from the left. It's from the left.
Yeah.
It's not from
You
the
never
right.
hear it from the right. It's always the left doing it, or they're pretending to be MAGA or whatever. They're the ones that are constantly stirring the pot because it's a divide and conquer strategy. That's the only way they get votes, is by making changing the perception of reality to, Donald Trump and MAGA are evil, they're bigoted, they're dangerous. So they use fear in those tactics to get people. They have always done that. It's just much worse than ever.
And, this Turning Point event that Charlie Kirk had in Arizona, the event he was at was the same one Roseanne was at this way. That event, I don't know what it was about that event, but it's taken him to another level. He sold more tickets than any other event. The tickets are not cheap, the Turning Point, by the way. And that's why he asked to get in on the press list, because it's expensive. But Charlie Kirk is becoming a very important leader in the conservative movement. And the way I was talking about him this morning on another issue with Charlie Kirk, and what Charlie Kirk has become today is like what Pat Robertson used to be back in the 80s and 90s. He, like, you remember with the Christian Coalition, Pat Robertson with the 700 Club. He is becoming one of the most influential and important conservative activist leaders in the country, because he's an activist who is rallying millions in a group that Republicans never thought they had a chance to get into, and that's young people. I went to that Turning Point in Palm Beach. I told you, Charlie Kirk invited me. And the thing about it is, I have gone to conservative events that had a few, like, high school and college kids in the past, years ago. You'd see them there. They're all nerds. They wear penny loafers and khaki pants and blue blazers. They,
Preppies.
Preppy guys, dorks, can't get girls.
Why are they dorks?
And you go, they just were like the dorky kids that couldn't get girls. But now you go to Turning Point. It's all the popular kids. They're all good looking, and they're all the popular college kids, popular high school kids. They're not the geeks and freaks anymore. So, and Charlie Kirk is organizing the cool kids.
Right.
And we want the geeks to be MAGA too, but you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not.
It's kind of like Star Trek conventions.
That's right. Until I started going, then cool people started going.
Exactly.
But no. It's a massive group. Charlie Kirk has chapters in colleges and high schools around the country, and it's growing and it's getting huge. And and because the kids in it are the cool, good-looking kids, that means all the other kids are going to want to be in it, because that's where the cool kids are at the Turning Point crowd, MAGA. And that's a pretty amazing thing. Listen, guys, that's it for today, but we will be back next time. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll talk to you next time.